me and many other people have a relationship with music. It can give you a range of emotions like happiness, sadness, make you think about your life, and everything else in between. And in my case, it makes me think about drawing some characters. So hi everyone, I'm Ward, and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot, and this week we're going to be drawing characters from songs that I listen to. Before we jump right in, I actually laid down some ground rules for myself to make this a little bit more interesting. First, I want to make sure that there's no outside help. This means I'm not watching any music videos or seeing the celebrities that took a part in whatever, or all that stuff. Like, it's strictly from my imagination, the character that I'm drawing. Rule number 2, there has to be some kind of at least metaphorical description or direct description of a character, like if they have blonde hair or if their hair is like the sun. You understand what I'm saying? Rule number 3, I'd prefer that I like the song, so when I'm drawing it, I'm not hating my life listening to the song as I'm drawing the character, you know what I mean? So preferably music that I like will be drawing the character of. Finally, rule number 4, have fun, because this is supposed to be fun and I'm not supposed to sit there crying as to why it's not. Anyway, our first song of the day will be Wockesha by Moneybagg Yo. So there are 2 versions of the song, the one where Moneybagg Yo just did it himself, and the other version that features Lil Wayne and Ashanti. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and read out the entire song, because then I'd probably get, copyright striked and sued, and I don't got the money for that. So I'm going to read you guys the lyrics that had the most descriptions and was kind of beneficial towards the drawing. So whatever lyric was in the song that really popped out to me and helped create an image of the character, that's what I'm going to be using to create the character in the first place. Now, before the song itself, we have the name Wockesha. It is a personification of the walk or lean, or a drug that is commonly used by people who commonly use them. So I already knew going in that we have this personification going at hand, so really Moneybagg Yo and Lil Wayne did a lot of that kind of grunt work for me. So I already had like a foundation laid out. So what I knew from the name alone is that definitely the color purple is going to be used in the drawing, and the way that they describe the walk itself is what's going to kind of show up in her personality on the paper. I'm going to start off with the version that has Lil Wayne and Ashanti. I'm mostly going to be sticking to Lil Wayne's lyrics because Ashanti kind of takes the spot of Wockesha herself, so there's no real description in her part, just her emotions towards Moneybagg Yo. So I'm going to be mostly sticking to Lil Wayne's verse and Moneybagg Yo's verse. So the first descriptory thing that we get in Lil Wayne's verse is that it looks diamond studded. So in my brain, that means that she's wearing a good amount of jewelry at least. Diamonds would have been preferred, but when I was drawing her, I kind of forgot the whole diamond aspect. So at least I put some jewelry in there, but that's what I picture, is that she's diamond studded, which means that she's wearing really expensive jewelry. The next lyric that I'm going to kind of pick from is the one where he says, wrap her body up in 2 cups, keep her cozy. So I had to use what I knew about this, right? I know that obviously there's 2 cups involved whenever people use this substance. Okay, so usually the 2 cups is to keep the drink insulated, so you don't have to, water it down with a lot of ice. So what I did was I took that knowledge and I gave her a jacket, or like a fur coat, a white fur coat, so this way she's kept warm or insulated in her case, so I thought that would just be another layer of clothing to put on top of everything, which makes sense because if it's, a double cup and and it's being wrapped up and keeping her cozy, then that makes sense that it would be a coat that she's wearing on top of everything. Another lyric that kind of helps push the idea that she is wearing something to keep herself warm is when he says the days are just colder without her. So I thought that was going to be, something that kind of reinforces the idea of a coat. On top of that, we have, again, another instance of color within the lyrics where he says, without the purple, I'm blue, and the Lakers are just golden without her. So we know that she is definitely a purple, kind of character going on here. And since Lil Wayne's verse was kind of short, that's just about what I got from him saying what he did. So already we have some descriptions going on from the character. The next verse that I'm going to move to is Moneybagg Yo's verse, and he does definitely give a little bit more descriptory things, especially when it comes to personality for Wockesha. Something that he says is tastes like candy and sweet like fruit. So what I pictured was a very sweet kind of woman, or like one who's very pleasant or like inviting, you know. So she kind of has a very sweet look on her face, which is what I made sure to push through. The next lyric that stood out to me was thumbing through 100 thou, I spent that times 2 on you. So he's got, you know, a lot of money obviously, but he's saying he spent times 2 on her, which means that he put a lot of money into her. So that's what I'm reinforcing again with like a really expensive coat, jewelry. She looks very like pampered, so you can tell that she's an expensive sweet woman that I'm kind of going for here, and it kind of makes sense with everything that he's saying. Now, making a call back to the original version of the song where it's just Moneybagg Yo, he says, "This ain't no playground love we grown." So I'm picturing that this woman is at least somewhere in her mid to late 20s, maybe even early 30s. So I kind of hope that I pulled that through. I do feel like she definitely looks older. I don't really draw younger characters in general. So yeah, just from my style alone, she's gonna look grown. After all that, there was a lyric with like a definite description which said dark skin and purple hair. So when I heard that immediately, I pictured the character that I did. I really wanted the contrast of dark skin and like really almost like a highlighter fluorescent purple kind of hair. And I really like the way that came out. I feel like that kind of pushes even further the character. I did make sure to use different tones of purple throughout the piece, so like her hair is the brightest purple, but then you have the little coat on top, which is a very light, almost shadowy purple, and then the dress is also like a black and purple mixed together, so you can see the little undertones that are going on, but it's not like a fully black dress, so again it pushes the idea of all purple that we got going on here. Finally, the last thing that we have to call back to in the lyrics is the chorus. The chorus doesn't give much looks-wise, but it does give it personality-wise. Moneybagg does say, "Watch me put my heart in this cup. In my feelings, she my therapist, I'ma talk to this cup." So what I figure is that this lady right here is somebody who definitely hears out whoever's talking to her, right? She's very therapeutic to talk to, and she kind of allows that space to happen, right? This is also a reinforced idea when he says, "I'm displaying my feelings like I'm wearing them on my sleeve." So again, he's like kind of showing that side of himself to her, almost like he doesn't do it often or doesn't show it to anybody else, but she allows that to happen. And there you go. So from both songs, that's kind of what I put together to make Wockesha. For the background, I kind of wanted to call back onto the walk aspect, which is a very purple, syrupy liquid, and, you know, I just wanted to put that around her to kind of push forward that, you know, it is Wockesha. I used my Artex paint pens for this part, just because I thought it would be nice to have a different kind of texture in there, so it looks more liquidy and also gives kind of dynamic within the drawing, so it's not just a regular marker thing going on. So after all that analyzing and looking into the lyrics, this is what I came up for with Wockesha. I love the way she looks. She's super cute and just overall beautiful. I love her. The next character that we're going to be taking a look at from a song is Jolene by Dolly Parton. From what I know is that there's only one version of the song by Dolly herself. I know many people have done covers or done like remixes on their own and stuff, but like nothing official by anybody, I believe. So I'm gonna just be using the song as its own source material for Jolene's description. Now, before we get started on the song, a little fun fact: Jolene was an actual person in Dolly's life, and her husband was kind of entertaining the woman who worked as a bank teller down in apparently Nashville, Tennessee. So Dolly did create this song as a direct result of everything that happened between all three of them. I don't necessarily know how far that kind of went between the three of them, but apparently, years and years later, Jolene and Dolly kind of have talked to each other and are on equal grounding and everything, so it's not like they hate each other or anything, but that's what the story is based off of, her husband kind of going to the bank teller and spending a lot of time with her while she was out on tour. And he just stupid as hell for that, because, Dolly pretty, so, bag fumbled on his part. Now, the song itself isn't that long of a song. Most of Jolene's description kind of comes from one verse that Dolly did, and the rest of it was kind of just circulating around Dolly asking Jolene not to take her man. So in the verse, the first lyric says, "Your beauty is beyond compare." Okay, so we're gonna stop right there. Beauty is very subjective, okay? So depending on what you believe the beauty is beyond compare, she's gonna look different. I kind of just drew a girl that I thought was really pretty. Beyond compare, I don't know. I like many different looks and many different facial features and many different body types. So it was kind of hard to put down a character that was beauty beyond compare. So I just overall did a very pretty girl as a result. So it says, "Your beauty is beyond compare with flaming locks of auburn hair." That's what I made sure to put in here. I did have to look up auburn to make sure I got it right, because I knew auburn was in the brown category, but what it is specifically is kind of the brown category with a red undertone, so she almost has kind of a brownish reddish hair going on, and it's a really pretty color. I kind of like that. I should do auburn hair more often, but I made sure to put that in. And because the song was from the 70s, I decided to keep her hair straight with a mid part, because I feel like that was a popular hairstyle in the 70s, so it kind of made sense to go ahead and do it like that. Then another physical descriptory thing, it says, "with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green." So of course my brain automatically kind of fills that in. Ivory skin, I figure she's like really pale, really light, so I kind of tried to keep her skin in the lighter category, and eyes of emerald green. So I took the greens that I found the brightest and kind of shined the most when you put them down. Does that make any sense? Because, when you lay down some colors, some of them are duller. I made sure these were brighter, so her eyes of emerald green definitely play a part here. After that, Dolly says, "Your smile is like a breath of spring." So I made sure she had a very soft smile on her face, because when I think of a breath of spring, it's very pretty outside, very, again, soft and beautiful, kind of like delicate, almost like very pastel-y, that whole thing going on. So when I think of that, I think of a soft smile on a face. Then we have another, I guess, physical descriptory, which is her voice is soft like summer rain, which, you can't really hear in a drawing. But you can kind of picture a soft voice coming out of the character because they look softer in general. So I thought that if I just made the character overall soft looking, then the voice would kind of pull through as the description too. That's kind of basically all we get on Jolene throughout the song, because again, the rest of the song is Dolly pleading with Jolene not to take her man. I like how Dolly didn't shit on her in the song. She just kind of talked to her about it, right? And said like, "Hey, please don't take my man, I can never love again," all this, wonderful things that she's speaking about. On top of that, there was nothing else I could really grasp at with Jolene, but what I did was kind of picture back into the 70s, or like look up references, because, I can't picture back because I wasn't born then. So what I did is I looked up some pictures, and like I used some references from my own mother's clothing. And a lot of the color palette back then was very muddy colors, I'd like to say, so browns and greens and like dark colors and stuff like that. So I put her in this kind of dress with a lower, not low V-cut, but kind of like a shoulder to V-cut into the chest. And I made the dress like a muddy green or olive green, just because that's what I picture when I picture the 70s. I know everybody pictures like really bright colors and stuff, but hearing live accounts from people saying how actually dull the colors were, I kind of took that into account. So I guess maybe there's two different versions of the 70s that people remember. For the background, I did make a callback again to the 70s and did like kind of really bright flowers and floral things going on around here. and it kind of makes a callback into the smile that's like a breath of spring and a voice that's soft like summer rain. So she's very, like very nature-esque almost when it comes to that. So that's what I've kind of put together whenever I heard those lyrics. Finally, after analyzing the lyrics and then putting the images together in my head as to what Jolene would look like, this was the final result of Jolene, and I believe she's just beautiful too, and I honestly loved the fact that I got to do this. I honestly can't pick a favorite between the two of them. Let me know which one you guys like more, and if you want to see me do more of this kind of thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember I love you. Bye!